Okay, so before I decide anything about looking into the skull, I would just like to hand Jalla my water bottle with the vomit from the vomiter and explain to her what it is. And I hope it's not too old.
No.
Too old for what?
Yeah, I know. I don't know if it's better for it to be too old or too new or worse, right?
Yeah.
So,
whatever she
yes.
wants to do with it.
Mhm. Well, this is quite remarkable. We have an amazing collection of relics and artifacts from different historical periods and different locations. And in many ways, this is really turning into, a proper temple of the buried dead.
Yeah.
And by now, somebody probably in the village has died an ordinary death, and that has, of course, led to ordinary observance for the god of the village, but it also, you may have noticed that now you have a memorial for that person has been established in, it has been established at some place like where people gather at the giant around the statue. They have set up a place where you can put memorials for the dead. And you will remember that from the big temple that you saw before, where they were covering that huge wall. So that is just beginning to happen here. So just as Jala and you are talking about chaos being reinterpreted and worshipped as time, right then is when Zhong is talking to Zort. And he says it's hard to hear this, I know, but they have not really understood you. We know, I have been listening, and we have our rumors, and we have our contacts with your people, and we think of them as we think of your religions as children's stories. They are like children's stories about adventurers. You have this buried dead and the hawk seers and these people these gods who are like people, and they go and they have stories and they have feuds and they have adventures, and it's a pretty mythology, but that is not how things work. We and that's where he explains that time is what makes the world what it is. When the world began and the world cracked in half, with a huge cliff that runs through it, that is when time began, and everything else is a part of it, and time touches you more than others. You change more than other people. You feel the touch of change upon you more than just an object does. You draw it upon you. You are blessed by it. And that is how we regard people like you, Zort.
In that case, if I may ask, is it inevitable that with time people become feral, crazy?
Yes, it's inevitable, no. But there are those who embrace this so much that we and we have a respect for that. Perhaps they will throw this effort to the benefit of us all. It may not have seemed like it at the time, but those people that you fought at the mountain, they were acting as they desired, as they were behaving. They are not pets. They are not servants. They said, we will defend the borders of our people. We will defend this outpost of our people. And they put all of their potential for change into action to do it. That is their choice. And it is true, there are prices to pay. There are dangers in this, but all of life is dangerous, and all of and we do not force them into servitude to obey the orders of those who call themselves superior. We don't do that. I will tell you, and you have seen this, you have obviously seen what happens to somebody who turns his back upon the ways of time and turns his attention to the ways of the earth and the objects and the fluids and the heat and the cold, and treats them as tools, treats them as more than just objects, treats them as something that they can shape and they can change. That is how this construct was made. And that person's blasphemous studies, his name was Anach. Anach was a great scholar among us until he began to study these ways that defied time. And he was driven away, and we thought he would die in the demon-haunted woods here. But apparently he made his way here, built his tower, and it is a tragedy for everyone that he did this, because obviously this construct of his could do nothing but harm. And I have learned of how you stopped it, which is astonishing. It makes Skava into a great chieftain. It makes Urko and Jala worthy of respect, worthy of perhaps considering more of the to their philosophy than just the teller of fairy tales. It is no small thing that we could not stop him. We could only drive him out. And yet you stopped him. This place is a marker for a grand event. We simply do not have the reach and the power, or even the desire. Some of us perhaps would want to extend power everywhere, but those people are just arrogant. But I would not have you submit to the chains of misguided slave masters. You would be respected among us, encouraged to develop your relationship with the cosmos. That's kind of code for turn into a great big Cthulhu monster, by the way.
Yeah. You know, Young, one of the few reasons I'm listening to you is because of the prophecy that I've heard, and that has become more obvious now with both yours and Oom's arrival. And if you can't stop a man of your own people, I don't see why I should put my trust in you.
Well, I know. As your contact with us has been limited to blood and horror, and strange as I may seem to you, I know that to plead my case to you would be the worst possible idea. I only hope that I have the chance to demonstrate the opportunities that we offer, that I will be here, I will learn, and I will perhaps have the opportunity to show you. All I ask is do not submit to and her temple unless you are completely sure. Because yes, they will give you a home, and yes, they will give you a place, but it will be a small box, and they will make sure that time does not move anywhere that they don't control or think they control.
To my ears, doesn't sound so bad. But I'll let you do one demonstration of what you promise.
No. All right.
What?
Is it to be something of a contest then, in your eyes?
Something along those lines.
Well, he says, the thought of some sort of interesting contest between and Zhong is kind of terrifying. That's a lot of rune magic in one place in a dedicated contest of the gods. That doesn't sound quite right, you know?
Can we get them somewhere a little bit away from the village at least?
Not a
They're
bad
not-
idea.
Yeah.
I can inform you that Urka decided not to go into chaos.
Okay, all right.
Actually, I'm surprised.
Oh well, you know, it's
Well,
it's
there's
nice.
always a later time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hooray! Hello.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Thanks.
So the conclusion from that conversation is that there is to be a kind of contest between and Zhong, and that this is in many ways going to be a little bit of a battle of the gods in a controlled environment if possible, and also away from trying not to burn down the village as part of the part of the plan.